Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
So we have lots of exciting questions from our viewers today.
All right.
All right, the first one has to do with solitude. How important is solitude for going through the eye of the needle? I feel more joy, alignment, and aliveness during solitude. Can you expand on this?
The very idea of solitude is what has, to some degree, been happening because of your pandemic, allowing each of you to go within, be with yourself. It can be very important. It doesn't necessarily have to exist for everyone. But the idea of solitude allows you, shall we say, to really focus on yourself, allow your entire environment to nurture you, to cushion you, to allow you to be aware of the things in the quiet, in the silence, that are important for you to pay attention to without the idea of outside distraction, as you say. Now, again, not everyone is distracted by outside sounds, but for most people on your planet, solitude will be very important for you to take stock of who you are, to be quiet within yourself, and to really hear the thoughts clearly that come through your mind, to be able to discern the difference between those that work for you and those that do not. So solitude for most of you can be very important toward learning who you are.
Thank you. People with ADHD do not maintain focus on a single thing for a long period of time. They switch their focus rapidly from one thought to another, all based on what's most exciting to them. Does this mean that people with ADHD are better equipped to perceive the shifting of parallel realities, follow their excitement, and choose their preferred reality?
Not necessarily. Again, you have to take this on a case-by-case basis, because some of what you are referring to as ADHD can also be happening for negative reasons. It can be an avoidance issue. Switching from one thing to another rapidly doesn't necessarily represent the idea of following the waxing and waning of your excitement in a natural way. So the idea is you will have to look at the reasons why someone might switch, even with the experience you call ADHD, and avoid the idea of doing so because you're not willing to look at something that might be important to look at, to stay with something that might be important to stay with. So again, on a case-by-case basis, you will have to determine what is actually happening and whether for some people it is positive or for others it is negative. It can, in a positive way, represent the ability to go with the flow of your excitement, of your passion. It can, based on a positive utilization of the idea of switching around very rapidly, connect you to different parallel reality probabilities and options. But again, one must always be honest within themselves as to whether this is a flowing experience, following your passion path, or whether it is an avoidance experience, not wishing to look at things that you believe you might find painful.
Can different personality aspects within an individual's mind hold concurrent beliefs that disagree with each other, essentially?
Yes, of course. You find this most often in what you typically have referred to as dissociative identity disorder, or what you used to call multiple personality disorder. Because you know from the research that's been done there that one personality can switch to something completely different as a personality and have a completely different experience, completely different perspective, completely different opinions from the other personalities that may have been present a moment ago. So yes, it is absolutely possible.
How can I burn the fear-based beliefs that I'm not aware of? Are there ways to burn through them without having to become aware of each deep-seated issue?
The use of the term burn through them is interesting because it's not that you really have to burn through them to burn them away or burn them out or turn them to ashes. Again, it's the idea of being honest within the self as to what does and doesn't work, but not invalidating what doesn't work for you. But the idea of belief systems that are in the unconscious or subconscious mind in that way can again always be brought into conscious recognition. by allowing yourself to ask what's going on in your physical reality, because the emotions, the thought patterns, the behaviors, and the experiences that are reflected to you are guiding mechanisms to help you determine whether you are holding on to negative fear-based beliefs or whether you are moving forward in a positive way. All you have to really do is be observant as to what's happening in the emotions, the thoughts, the behaviors, and the reflections of physical reality, to let you know that these are reflective of beliefs you may be unaware of within yourself. And again, always being able to ask the question, what would I have to believe in order to feel, think, behave the way I do, will always help you get in touch with them. Do you always have to be aware of what the belief is? No, there may be some exceptions. There may be techniques, tools, and certain kinds of permission slips. If you are really willing to know that you are powerful enough to switch, to become a truly different person in the moment, to know that your past is different, to let go of those things automatically and quickly that don't serve you, if you have that ability, then fine. You may not need to know exactly or precisely what the belief system is, but how many of you can actually say that you can do that without having some idea of what kind of belief you're holding on to? So again, it takes a great deal of clarity, transparency, and honesty to know whether you can truly just let go of all the negative and fear-based beliefs, whether you know precisely what they are or not, or whether you actually do need to go through a process of understanding what it is so that your physical mind can also have the same kind of clarity as your higher mind. So you have to each determine for yourselves how honest you are about whether you believe, truly know for a fact that you can do that without knowing what the belief actually is.
Could you define gratitude and humility?
Gratitude is the total acceptance of what is, and the allowance, total allowance of it being exactly what it needs to be to teach you what you need to know to grow, to learn, to expand your consciousness. Humility is knowing that, again, the ego is only for the purpose of allowing you to focus in your process and experience of physical reality, and that there is not necessarily information that is accessible to you in what the ego thinks it should be, but to know and to trust and to allow your life to unfold in the way that it unfolds through synchronicity, knowing that everything is working perfectly. And if you are willing to remain in the positive state, then you can express the humility of knowing that everything you need is presented to you. Nothing is left out, but that you also don't know everything as to exactly when or how things should come to you. That you're willing to accept what is going on and make the determinations as to what works for you, to allow creation to unfold in the way that it automatically can, and to accept the totality of yourself and be appreciative of yourself and the way things unfold in every given moment.
And what is the difference between discernment and judgment?
Again, honesty can allow you to know the difference between excitement and anxiety, and therefore, with anxiety can come judgment. Discernment is simply the neutral observation of what is and isn't vibrationally compatible with your core vibration, your core frequency. There is no, shall we say, evaluation of it in the sense of this is better, this is worse, this is good, this is bad. It is the willingness to simply discern what isn't you vibrationally, but also the willingness to use whatever comes up in the most positive way for you, knowing that everything is happening for a reason. If you're willing to stay in that positive state to determine what that is, it will reveal itself to you. So again, honesty, knowing the difference between excitement and anxiety within yourself, and being in that neutral space that allows you to simply recognize, to simply observe what is and isn't you, as opposed to making an emotional reaction or response to it that brings with it some kind of value judgment.
And is there such a thing as positive ego or negative ego energy or manifestation?
Yes, of course. Again, the negative ego is the result of putting too much on the shoulders of the idea of the physical mind, when it's not designed to actually control anything, but only designed in the positive ego sense, the neutral ego sense, of allowing you the opportunity to have a physical experience. As we have often said, it's sort of like a diving mask when you go under the water. The ego is simply structured to allow you to have clarity in the physical reality experience. The negative ego thinks it needs to control everything because it's been given that task, because people may not understand that everything is automatically working in exactly the way it needs to. Even if things crop up that you don't prefer, it's there for a reason. So the positive or neutral ego will accept that it's there for a reason and stay in a positive state, just doing the job it was designed to do, of allowing clarity of what's happening. Whereas the negative ego thinks it needs to know what will happen, what is going to happen, so it can control everything and manipulate details into place to make sure everything works, instead of simply surrendering to the fact that everything does work when you let go of the need to try and control everything.
Here's an interesting situation. While I was following my excitement last week playing soccer with my kids, I suddenly lost consciousness. I fell and fractured my jaw. It's still a mystery as to why I lost consciousness. Everything checks out okay. I'm looking for answers. When I was woken up, I recall waking up from a festive dream before the pain set in.
Yes. Many people on your planet will allow their lives to unfold to a certain point in what seems to be a normal way, a natural way. But then they will give themselves the opportunity to accelerate themselves greatly. And often, when people are changing and shifting from one parallel reality to another quickly, they will do so by injuring themselves with a blow to the head in some way, shape, or form. And after the fact, realize they now have more abilities than they used to have. As soon as the pain subsides, you may find yourself experiencing things you didn't experience before with regard to being able to perceive different energies that were heretofore invisible to you, or being able to be in a channeling state and bring things through that you couldn't bring through before, to see things in a different way. This is quite common on your planet, to shift your reality by giving yourself a blow to the head, which rearranges all of your neurological network in your brain to make it more efficient for bringing through higher frequency information and energy. And the idea of having the festive dream is an indication of what your reality can be like after the fact that you have received this blow. So you will heal, but you may also find that you have rearranged your ability to perceive things that you couldn't perceive before, or do things that you couldn't do before or didn't think you could do before. This is quite common on your planet. Many people who have blows to the head after the fact, when they heal, will find out that they are now quite telepathic, quite psychic, or quite able to channel different energies through themselves. And the idea of actually fracturing the jaw may be an indication of the direction that this energy will take, in that you may be able to express things more clearly from a higher frequency level and connect to your higher mind more readily, and bring through information and share that information with others where you wouldn't necessarily have thought you were capable of doing so before, what you typically think of as an accident, which isn't an accident at all.
And why do I get undeniable signs from the universe only to find out that I was misreading the signs? Can I not trust my intuitive understanding of the clues life offers me? What am I missing to help me have a better, more realistic understanding of what's being communicated to me?
All right. Well, again, great honesty, self-investigation may be necessary here. Yes, of course, you can trust your intuition, but the real question is, are you actually going off of intuition? Or are you going off of presuppositions and belief systems that are making you think you're going off of your intuition? So you may have to clarify within yourself if there are any unconscious or subconscious wishes going on that create an insistence within you to think that, yes, this must mean this because I really want it to mean this, as opposed to being honest about what it actually signifies to you. So a great deal of self-investigation and introspection may be necessary to be able to tell the difference more clearly as to whether you are actually getting a result from unconscious wishes and insistences, or whether you're actually using your intuition to understand the meaning of certain signs that appear in your life.
Okay. How do we stay in a positive state regardless of the circumstance? It sounds so easy and exciting when you say it, but then when I'm back to life, I'm not able to do it. And how do I dissolve a negative belief that tells me that I can't dissolve a negative belief?
Well, first of all, you have some interesting definitions going on in that question. The idea being that when we say something, you understand it, but when you go, quote unquote, back to life, as if life was different than what we're telling you. So the idea is you're still making a difference somewhere in your belief system, that what we're saying and what you know to be true when you're allowing yourself to go into the state that matches our frequency is somehow different than the frequency you go back into when you, quote unquote, relive your normal life. So the idea is to not make so much difference and realize that you can say these things to yourself and trust that they are true for you when you say them, as well as when we say them, allowing the idea that you're holding on to a belief that it is difficult, that there is a difficult difference being made within your belief system between when you are engaging with a being like us and when you are engaging with yourself, as if you don't have the same power to tell yourself that you can, in fact, move forward, and still are holding on to the belief that there is a difference between the two.
And you say, don't invalidate what you don't prefer.
Yes.
Something negative is in your path for a reason, so don't invalidate it. It makes things worse. If Bashar said this, could he please explain it? I think I understand, but I really want to be clear and sure that I understand it.
All right. Well, again, remember, every circumstance is fundamentally neutral. It doesn't have built-in meaning. You may have been taught to think that certain things have meaning. This is bad, this is good, this is negative, this is positive, but anything can be used in a negative or a positive way. So the idea is to recognize the neutrality of what's happening and instill within it a positive definition, not saying that the negative thing you may recognize as mechanically negative is positive, but that there is a positive reason why that may be cropping up in your life, that you can use this negative thing that was maybe created out of negative energy in a positive way if you remain in a positive state, because it's only determined what you experience by the state you choose to be in. So even though you may recognize that something was created negatively, even though you can still understand that it may be a negative thing on its own, you can still remain in a positive state, because then that's the energy you're putting into why you are observing it, why you are experiencing it as cropping up in your life. And by remaining in a positive state, you'll be able to extract the reason, the positive reason that could be there for why it's in your life. If nothing else, as we often say, on a very simplistic level, sometimes attracting something you don't prefer can actually help with clarifying what you do prefer by contrast. And that's a positive way to use what you don't prefer, is using it to clearly define what you do prefer instead. That's another way of staying in a positive state and giving the reason why it's there a positive meaning. So ideally, hopefully, that will clarify the issue for you.
I've had out-of-body experiences since I was little, but I've never left the perspective of my body. Now that I understand what it is, I still can't shake my fear of it and go off and explore. What is your perspective of out-of-body experiences, and is there anything to fear?
There is nothing to fear. Out-of-body experiences will usually remain somewhat close to Earth. It's not the same thing as a near-death experience. It's not the same thing as actually dying when you go deeply into the spirit realm. Out-of-body experiences are still vibrationally connected to the Earth plane. However, that doesn't mean you can't go exploring the Earth plane or the lower astral realm, and that doesn't mean you can't access a lot of information, even though you may not have a full experience of the spirit realm. But there's really nothing to fear. You will have to find out what it is specifically that you are afraid will happen if you do go exploring, to find out what that belief system is that is anchoring you into a very small locale when you're out of body. So unless we are engaging you in a further dialogue, you will have to do the investigation within yourself as to what you believe might actually happen that you're afraid of if you go exploring. And perhaps then when you ask that question, the answer will arrive and you will understand that it really doesn't make sense because there's really nothing to be afraid of. First of all, you are in that state non-physical, unless you are afraid that something will happen to your body while you're exploring, like you have to watch over it or something like that, like a guard dog. But again, remember, these things are natural. Exploring beyond the physical is very natural for many people, and you do this all the time when you dream pretty much anyway. So there's really nothing to be afraid of. You are still here, you are still living your life, and there's no way you're really going to leave. There's really no way you're going to die or that harm would come to you in a lethal way until you yourself have finished whatever agreement you have made to explore physical reality. So again, you have to dig down and find out for yourself. If you did go exploring, ask the question, what am I afraid might happen? And then allow yourself to hear the answer, to receive the answer, and you will see that it really makes no sense. And then perhaps it will be easier for you to let that fear-based belief go and have more fun going out and exploring.
Hi, Bashar.
Hi.
I'm going to ask two questions because a friend of mine could not come back this week.
All right.
She was on the leftovers, so I have a question.
Leftovers.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, her question is in regards to, can you give us some insight as to why and the wherefore of the death of the dolphins on the East Coast? What that is?
As to some degree, it still ties in with some of the magnetic fluctuations that are going on upon your planet. The dolphins can be just as easily confused as many of you with some of the fluctuations that are going on. Understand?
Yes.
They guide themselves along electromagnetic lines, and sometimes shifts in those electromagnetic lines will divert them from the direction they actually prefer to go into, thinking that they are heading that way when they are not. In other words, it confuses their magnetic sensing devices to some degree. But an overall reason to still interact with your humanity in any way, shape, or form they can will allow some of them to choose ways that may seem drastic to you, but will bring to your awareness the fact that they exist and will allow you to stretch your hearts out to them, so that in that stretch, even if for what seems to be a negative reason, there will be contact which can then be transformed into positive interaction. You follow me?
Yes, but what is the symbolism? What are they trying to get us to understand?
On a fundamental sense that
we
you are one society, that you need to interact with them, that you are two alien species on one planet. They are sentient beings like you. Humans are not the only aliens on Earth. Aliens to us, that is. Dolphin, cetacean, whale, that is the second alien species upon Earth. You have been segregated for a very long time. It is time now to blend and balance and become one society, interacting, helping each other, sharing with each other, playing with each other, to become the one world that will allow you to interact with other whole integrated worlds. That's the fundamental reason for the interactions now. Understand?
Yeah, I just don't see what the death, how that is going to incorporate people to play more.
The idea is that certain individuals in your society are only enticed when others are, in your terms, in trouble. Understand?
Yes.
Sometimes what you call tragedy is the only way to reach some of your hearts. And so they will be willing to do that. Understand?
Yes.
Does that serve you?
Yes, yes. And my question is, I've been going through a lot of disorientation.
How exciting!
Yeah.
Right in time with everyone else who is disorienting from their old reality and orienting toward a new one. What reality do you prefer to orient to?
In an orientated one, that's...
As soon as you make a choice, you will orient into it. As soon as you make a choice and act on it. Are you doing what excites you the most in life?
Yes, somewhat.
Yes, somewhat.
Well, I thought that perhaps, with you having the hotline...
Me?
Yes. Well,
you have
a
one
clear...
too, you know.
I know, but there's some interference on my line, obviously.
Obviously? It is not obvious at all to me.
Well, then, I guess I'm just not getting the messages clearly to assist in my getting out of the upheaval that I seem to be going
Upheaval.
through. With decisions and activities in my life, there doesn't seem to be a sense of direction.
Are you doing at any given moment the thing that excites you the most that you're capable of doing at that moment? Or are you waiting for something better to come along before you act?
Well,
Are you invalidating the things that excite you in the moment because they seem, in that sense, frivolous and not connected to the things you think you want to do on the surface?
Well, I seem to have an MO of doing too much in life at times, so I'm trying to pull back from that and allow more. But
What do you want to do? What is the thing that excites you the most? And are you doing all these other things because you don't believe you can do the thing that excites you? And you feel you have to do a lot of busy work in order to get yourself to a point where you can do the thing that excites you? Does something excite
Yes.
you? What
Well,
is it?
Okay, there's a move that I want to do to the west side of town.
All right.
Okay? And there seems to be a lot of activity that's getting me nowhere with that,
Why do you want to move?
because I don't like where I'm living.
All right.
That doesn't
What do
excite
you
me
want
anymore.
to do in life? What excites you? Besides the idea of the move.
Well, my career excites me.
Well, thank you. Which excites you more, the career or the move?
Well, the career.
Well, then,
Yes.
why are you focused on the move, which is only one of the details that will fall into place automatically when you act upon the thing that excites you the most?
Well, you see, that's what I don't have a lot of trust in, because I don't see how my pursuing of my
trust.
career is going to bring that about.
Why not? Why
I
not?
just don't see it that way.
Why not?
I
May
guess-
I ask you a question?
Sure.
Would you like to see it that way?
Sure.
Then see it that way.
Okay.
Believing is seeing, not the other way around. You have to believe it before you will see it. But if you believe it, you will see it. I guarantee it.
Well, isn't there any kind of even mini manifestations that can happen along the way to give the faith of
Yes,
that?
in a sense there are, but again, they also take believing is seeing. You have to take the first step before you see a change in scenery. Otherwise, if you don't move, nothing will change around you, apparently. You will stay, quote unquote, where you have always been until you take the first step.
But I am changing my belief system.
All right.
Okay.
But you have already expressed a reluctance to trust that you can change it as quickly as you wish to. Not believing or not willing to believe that if you simply act upon what excites you the most, that all the other details will take care of themselves automatically to allow you to continue to do what excites you the most. If doing what excites you the most requires that you be in a living situation that allows you to be happier than where you are now, then it will automatically have to be attracted into your life. Otherwise, you won't be able to do what excites you the most. And that won't happen that way. Act upon whatever you are capable of acting on in what excites you the most, and all the details and circumstances and situations and relationships that have to be there to support you in what excites you the most will come to you. And then all you have to do is act on them when they come, because you'll recognize them when they come, and it won't be a difficult decision. Understand?
Yeah, I guess I was just sensing some blockage, and I thought you might be able to.
But
help in
blockage
that
is
in my
only
meditation.
unwillingness to move in the direction that is actually most obvious. That is all a blockage is. It is lack of trust. That's it. That is all a blockage is. None of you ever have any real blocks. It is simply a lack of willingness to believe that what you really know is what you really know. Plain and simple. You are more willing to complicate it and say, well, there must be something here I'm missing. It can't be that easy. It can't be that simple. It can't work together. It can't dovetail in. One thing doesn't fit into another. It doesn't appear to be connected. I can't do this and automatically have that. Why not? Why not? Why not? All these things that you are saying are merely assumptions. They are merely beliefs you have been taught. They have no more fundamental reality or solidity than anything else. You can decide what system of interconnected creative reality you prefer to believe in, and that's the one that will work for you. All beliefs generate their own self-perpetuating systems of support. That's why they are all true. They're all real. They all work. It is simply that when individuals upon your planet in the past have found that one particular system works for them, They create the assumption that therefore that's the only system that works, forgetting completely that before they found that system, another system worked for them just as well. And realizing then that all systems work when you believe in them, you can then appreciate the fact that different systems are simply different expressions of the same one, all that is, manifesting itself in all the different ways that it can. So when you define definitions, when you define the system you prefer and act like you believe it will work just as validly as any other system you have lived in, that you have created, it will work for you just as strongly as any other system. And you don't have to say, well, the other systems haven't worked for me. Yes, they have. Because what you get with a negative belief is a negative working system. So when you say, well, I don't believe I'm capable of this, or I believe this will not happen, that's what you get. Something that does not work, that does not happen. You get an absolute 100% reflection of what you believe in most strongly. So when you change your belief, you will change the apparatus, the mechanism by which you create your reality, and you will get that feedback. I guarantee it. Yes, I know it's a matter of trust, but if you know it's a matter of trust, then simply saying it's a matter of trust and not acting as if you believe that, then is simply an excuse. Because if you know you have a habit, it's no longer a habit. It's just an excuse. Understand?
Yeah, I guess.
I guess. What is not clear?
Well, I guess I am changing my belief system,
Yes,
and I
you
still
are.
don't see the manifestation thereof.
Don't put an expectation in the way you think you ought to see it. Let it come in a way that it will come along the path of least resistance. Because you don't necessarily have the analytical ability to understand all the ways that it could come. And when you focus on the one way you think it should come, you shut all the other doors through which it might come quicker. Understand? Open up. That's what trust is all about. Saying, all right, this is what I believe I need, but this is what really excites me. So if I act upon what really excites me in any way, shape, or form that I can, I will trust that all the other circumstances that I really need to be allowed to continue to act upon what excites me the most in highest ecstasy will fall into place, make themselves obvious, and then I will simply act upon them when they occur, even if they are not what I originally expected. Don't you want some surprise in your life?
Sure. I have surprises every day.
All right. Let them be positive surprises by allowing yourself to recognize that if you simply move in the direction of what excites you the most, all the ingredients will fall into place to allow you to continue in that same direction. Understand? Okay. It does work. It's a simple mechanism. But you'll have to trust it, believe in it, and act upon it before you will allow yourself to see it work. But it will work. I guarantee it. There are no exceptions, not even you.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One moment. Remember that for many of you, in exploring what your beliefs are, that is also, as you say, critical. To use the situations you are creating to get in touch with what you believe that created the situation you are in. And allow yourself to understand whether or not it is an issue of believing that you deserve that things can change. For many of these things you have hidden in your unconscious and subconscious selves, you have created the unconscious and subconscious selves to hide these things within. So whatever process you are going through now, it is giving you the time to discover all the things within yourself so that you can then have a complete enough definition of what you are doing, so that then if you don't prefer it, you will have a complete enough definition to change into one that you do prefer. Continue.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you.
Since we choose our lives and where we live and who we're going to have agreements with,
Basically, yes.
I was wondering why you chose to live in Esasani, and if you could tell us about some of your past lives.
It is very much fun. One of my past lives is the physical channel before you now. And the reason I chose that, the only life I've ever had on your planet, was to do the facilitations we are doing now. So I would have a model of an understanding of your society through the experience of my past life upon your world. Otherwise, you would be far too alien for me to understand. and I would have no way of relating to you in the way that I am. Other past lives have been on Essassani. Other lives have been on other civilizations, other worlds, some of which you may call Sirius and other connections. The ones on Essassani are not unlike what you would call your historic panorama of lives in ancient times, and so on and so forth, with different degrees of levels of technology and society and so on. You understand? Mm-hmm. Is there something specific you wish to know, other than the fact that where I am now is obviously where I choose to be, so I can be of service in the way I am being of service, because that's what I want to do?
I'm interested in how life differs on Essassani to here. Do you have families the same way that we do?
Not exactly, no. To us, the idea is that every single member of our society is, quote unquote, not in the same way you mean it, married to every other member of our society. We are one family, and in a sense, we consider you to be a part of our family as well, even though some of you may not. The idea simply is that we do not recognize the same degree of separations. We are telepathic in that way, and the children are the children of all, the adults are the parents of all, even though the children recognize what you would call their biological parents, and vice versa. But anywhere the child winds up, they are with the parent they need to be with to learn the things they need to learn to be who they chose to be in our society, to be of service in the way they chose to be of service. That is how our family operates. In absolute trust, in absolute spontaneity, in absolute joy. Understand?
Yes, it's kind of what we've termed a communal utopia here that we've tried to achieve in certain areas.
It is what you are transforming into. But it is not what you would colloquially call a naive state of existence, as some individuals have termed your so-called utopia. It is simply absolute trust, and in absolute trust, it is absolute workability. Because everyone knows that everyone is there to be of service, and therefore all have what they really need. Because all are willing to supply what everyone else needs, and in turn they are supported by the whole. That is what your society is transforming into to some degree, and that is why your vibration is now enough like our vibration to allow us to be able to interact with you and reflect these things to you. If you were not close to that vibration, we could not interact with you in the way we are interacting with you now. Understand?
Yes, I do.
Does that serve you?
It does. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Shooting!
It seems like at the moment I couldn't understand too much about it.
All right.
But then suddenly started going on during the week.
Yes.
And then I had the cognition about, it was like a cognition, something like that, that I couldn't see time outside of me anymore.
Very good.
Suddenly it wasn't there. You know,
Very good.
And I
Yes.
realized it was like you've been explained with me.
Yes.
Within me.
Yes.
And then I was feeling good about it. But also, with this change, I start having almost like a fight, you know, like something left still after that cognition. And it is, I realize I still have the tendency almost like to...
Not a tendency, not a tendency.
To run away.
A choice.
Okay.
Not a
choice
tendency.
Okay, like a choice to run away from the moment.
Yes.
Or from myself.
All right.
And I see like a picture, you know, something almost close to something is going to blend, like come together, like the relative and the absolute, or the,
Yes.
you know, something like that.
Yes.
But then it's something start like running around me, and I cannot catch up, so I want to ask you about that.
All right, it's all right. Do not berate yourself. Do not belittle yourself. Do not think less. The things you are, quote unquote, running from now, you would have absolutely fainted at the sight of a long time ago. Now at least you are remaining conscious, and you are integrating in a very fast way. Allow yourself to recognize that things you are integrating now and not running from are things you might have run from many years ago. You are changing and you are blending. Do not berate yourself if you feel for now that you must back off from something you simply do not want to integrate.
Yes.
If you, in that sense, invalidate yourself, you will only actually create more separation.
Okay.
If you back off, then acknowledge you have backed off. All right, I just wanted to get a better look at it, you say.
Okay.
Then you will, at whatever pace is comfortable for you, walk back toward it and say, all right, now that I see what you are, and now that I recognize you, now I will integrate you.
Okay.
Never assume that the things we discuss with any of you end on the night the discussion physically ends. The conversation always continues forever in all the ways, shapes, and forms that it needs to. Understand?
Okay. Yes.
Things will leak in when you open a door.
Okay.
Not until you do, though.
Okay. And another thing I got,
Yes.
during all this, I got like the idea of, I saw like a blue light in there, and
Yes.
I got the idea of the Holy Ghost.
All right, in a
What is
sense,
the meaning for
it
you
is the
about Holy
electromagnetic
Ghost?
mentality of your entire planet, which is what you have colloquially, religiously called the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
The electromagnetic mentality, consciousness, the overmind of your entire planet is what
Okay.
you have called the Holy Spirit.
Okay. So that's what I was getting in touch
Yes.
a little bit.
Yes,
Okay.
mass mentality,
Yes.
mass spirit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you.
Thank you for what you said about dolphins. Some people have been asking me about that, and what you said dovetailed with what I felt, and also what I had received before about that sort of sacrifice on their part to enable us to open our hearts to them.
Yes.
Yesterday, I went to SeaWorld with some friends, including Stephen Hewitt,
Yes.
whom you know very well.
Yes.
And we had a wonderful time with the orcas and the dolphins, and it was an ecstatic day altogether.
Well, thank you.
I feel that connection being made stronger and stronger, and I find it very exciting.
Me too.
I have a question for a friend of mine in Sonoma. I was visiting him recently, and he has developed something he calls photon art.
All right.
And he tells me photon is a unit of light.
In your language, yes.
Yes, all right. These designs are, it's a design form that delineates.
It is a trinary representation of a cross-section in one dimension of a photon. Understand?
I think I do.
A photon contains the triad, the tetrahedral principle, and that is why it is bracketed in threes, and it is an indication of the flow. It is, in a sense, almost what you would call an atomic picture of light. But it is a cross-section, a slice in one dimension through a multidimensional phenomena which you recognize as a photon.
Oh, well, very good, because that answers the second part of his question, which is how does it relate to the field of electronics?
It is, in a sense, a diagram of how light intersects your dimension, how it flows, how it creates what you would call, atomically, its covalent structure. Even though it does not carry what you call an atomic structure as such, the diagram is still representative of the way the lines intersect your electromagnetic field, or as, I shall say more precisely, as your electromagnetic field.
Okay, so that's why this design indicates the interlocking positive and negative
Yes.
space both.
Yes,
Where did
because
you-
it is literally, as you say, like a gear interlocked with every other aspect of what you think of as a vacuum, but which contains the infinite energy of all that is.
He'll be very excited. He wants to know if you can tell him where he got this idea. Was this a past life? Was this
From all that is.
That's
from
what
himself.
I told him. I can bring a larger one. In fact, I meant to, but I had to draw this from memory.
It simply comes from a flash revelation of overlapping consciousness within himself when he has eliminated, as you say, or dissolved most of the barriers between the different levels he has created his consciousness to be. It is simply a recognition that comes out because of the way his energy, his consciousness was patterned. The direction in which he was looking gives him that particular image or cross-section of your physiological energy reality.
Well, it's a fascinating design, and he's used many different forms of it and decorated his whole
Yes,
house with
it is one that also indicates constant motion. Constant motion.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bashar.
Thank you. It can, in a sense, if you wish, be called a light flake.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, you may all enjoy a short break. We will resume contact in approximately 10 to 15 of your minutes. I don't say, continue.
This lady back in, this is my night for announcements of cars. This lady back here who's parked alongside here needs to leave, pick up somebody at the airport. So if anybody's parked behind someone alongside the building, please go assist her so she can make her appointment at the airport. Thank you, Bashar.
Not my car either. Shooting. I. Can you all hear?
I've been doing a lot of plug in the mic. Talk loud.
Be bold.
I've been having a lot of negative fantasies in my life.
All
And
right.
I've discovered that I enjoy these fantasies.
Yes.
And a part of me is thinking, well, this is really a waste of time, and you had better stop this immediately. And
All
the
right.
other part is going, well, you better go ahead and enjoy them so that you can stop. And I'm really confused with this idea because I don't want to have this negative future, but I've discovered that a part of me does enjoy these fantasies.
All right. The idea does not mean that what you are aware of within yourself has to manifest. And in particular, if you allow yourself to peruse them as they come naturally, you will then get out of them what you wish to apply positively, while at the same time you will still be aware of the polarity of positive and negative that can occur within you. But it will stay within you and will not in that sense need to manifest if you will allow it to be there when it needs to be there and get out of it what you wish. You can still learn from it and apply it in a positive way. You understand? Just because you are aware of it doesn't mean you have to manifest it. In fact, paradoxically, the more integrated you become, the more aware you also become of all the negativity you could manifest. That's a part of what integration is all about. More awareness of more of yourself, all of yourself. And that has to include the positive and the negative side. But just because you are more aware of it doesn't mean that it must manifest. In fact, just the opposite. The more aware of it you are, the more you know what you actually prefer to manifest, and what you do not prefer can remain in what you call a fantasy state. Understand? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, but...
Yes, but what?
Yes, but. I'm wondering, if you're still enjoying it, then aren't you going to start creating it?
In what sense are you enjoying it? What are you enjoying out of it? Are you enjoying simply certain experiences and expressions that you can create in what you call the non-physical sense that you can then apply to the physical world? For if you are enjoying it that way, again, if you get your enjoyment in the non-physical sense, it may not have to manifest in the physical. It still takes an overwhelming desire in that sense to really bring something into manifestation, or an overwhelming fear. If it is simply, in your terms, an enjoyment that is on the level of what you call an amusement, an extrapolation in that way, you may simply not be giving it enough energy to manifest fully as a physical reality. You understand? Yes, no, maybe.
I'm trying to think about it, what it is that you said.
Can you describe what it is you enjoy about it? Let me put it this way. Would you continue to enjoy it if it manifested physiologically?
No.
Do you desire to continue to enjoy it in the way that it comes to you now?
No, I don't.
Why not? And in what way do you enjoy it?
It's an idea of being helpless and sort of having your life go slowly downhill.
All right.
And I don't know exactly what it is that's enjoyable about it, but maybe just
Can you
like
perhaps...
the feeling of letting go and just
All
going
right.
downhill.
All right. Can you perhaps allow yourself, let us say, to say that you are exploring different, quote-unquote, luxuries, different opportunities, different experiences you have had. Perhaps you are, in that sense, reviewing. Some of the enjoyment you may be having is simply that as you are reviewing things that you have lived out in many different lives, what you are enjoying is maybe that they're in the past. You can be enjoying that. You can be enjoying it from the perspective of the oversoul, in the sense that all experiences are valid. And simply as you review all these different things you have already done, your enjoyment comes from the fact that you are now creating the satisfaction that you can integrate all these different experiences and have a positive result in terms of the manifestation, which occurs in your physical life. Now, can you understand you might be enjoying it for that reason? Simply now that you are looking at it from the perspective of what you might call hindsight, knowing that you don't have to go through it again, and so you can relax and at your leisure review these things and even gain the sense of learning that you learned from them, and that may be what you are enjoying, the experience itself. Understand?
I don't think any of those are it.
All right.
It kind of confuses me because I think the thing that I'm enjoying is like the feeling of letting go. And
Yes.
Which I could see as being both a positive and a negative thing.
Yes.
And I'm confused because I don't know if it's positive or negative.
Well, it can be whatever you choose it to be. If you know it can be both, which do you prefer to recognize it as?
I prefer it as positive, but I don't want to create that fantasy.
But you have just contradicted yourself. If you understand that the sensation that you are experiencing in the fantasy can be viewed as a neutral idea and manifested either as a positive or a negative, and if you prefer the positive, then no matter whether it comes to you in your imagination as a negative to at least put you in touch with the feeling, if you simply prefer that it will manifest in physical reality as a positive, then that's the only way it will manifest. Understand?
Yeah, I think so.
The idea, in other words, let's put it this way. You are creating a version of the idea, having your cake and eating it too. You are now able to create both sides and learn from both and, in a sense, enjoy both the positive and the negative, but you simply, quote-unquote, wisely choose to keep the negative manifestation in the non-physical side of your reality and the positive manifestation on the physical side. So you can enjoy them both because you allow them to manifest where to you they are safe. Understand?
Yes.
So enjoying them where they are does not mean that they will manifest. In that sense, it means that they won't, because you have found the place in which you can enjoy them safely.
Yes, thank you.
Understand?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Shedding.
Hi, Bashar. It's Million.
Hi.
Well, things have really come to a head here.
Yes. Whose?
Mine.
All right.
All of us. I'm finally getting that wonderful experience of manifesting what I want.
Oh, finally?
Yes.
Oh,
finally.
all right.
After all these months of torture.
Oh, all right.
And yes, and it feels exhilarating. It feels different. I can understand why it wasn't that comfortable, because it was so unique that I didn't know what it felt like, and I kind of have to adjust myself when I get it to allow myself to love it and appreciate it and feel what it feels like.
Thank you.
And so part of what of these things that are coming to a head seems to be is a culmination of the first visit that I had by the space people in 1973, the three beings that were the first thing that I ever asked you about, the first time I ever saw you.
Nice.
And you told me they were Pleiadians and friends of Pleiadians.
Nice.
And that I would find out in time.
Yes.
Well, this last week, I have been obsessed with Zeta Reticuli.
Oh, really?
I mean, I woke up with this whole marketing plan, and I've been drawing them and designing them, and I mean, my life has become Zeta Reticuli. And so I thought, well, that's exciting. And
yes.
Somewhere around the same time when I had the visit by the three beings, I also had one of those straight scars on the abdomen that I had no idea where it came from, and then I conveniently forgot about it for 15 years until I read Whiteley Strieber's book. And then channeling class Tuesday night, a whole different energy came to me that was so strong and so deep that it almost frightened me. And I've never experienced fear in channeling before, but it was just right at the edge.
Yes.
And there was dialogue going on just inside my head, not speaking or vocalizing. This was not vocal at all.
Understand.
And I asked, I said, are you Zeta? And they said, something like Zeta.
Yes, something like it. Your version of it.
Oh.
Your recognition, your recreation of the agreements and the connections. Something like it.
Oh.
I have one phrase which we can share.
Okay.
And not much more at this time.
Okay.
The eyes have...
The eyes, I know. God, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Do they speak through us? I mean, is this a vocal channeling thing? I understand you've said they have a hive mentality.
It can be. But anytime they, quote-unquote, push their mentality through you, to create what you perceive to be a single persona will require a large amount of them. Since they are, in that sense, much more of what we have discussed at the beginning of this evening, the instinctive, spread out form of consciousness that you refer to as a hive mentality, more than the focused personalities each of you consider yourselves to be. We are somewhere halfway in between.
Aha, okay. Have I channeled Esasani energy?
You are in touch to some degree with it. You are using it as a carrier wave.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great. Okay, that explains a lot.
Thank you.
Dear Bashar, what do I do when I don't know what my highest excitement is? Sometimes it feels like following my highest excitement is not leading me to the synchronicity and effortlessness I would expect, which leads me to not trusting my excitement and feeling confused. Other times, I just simply am not sure about what my highest excitement is, and I'm left confused, overwhelmed, and lost. Other times, when I think I'm clear on what excites me the most, I find moving towards that direction is met with obstacles, resistance, struggle, and general effort. I would love some guidance on what to do when you are feeling like you don't really know what excites you, what is your highest excitement, or when it seems like following your highest excitement is met with more struggle and obstacles. Thank you so much.
Well, first of all, again, we remind you that acting on your excitement does not have to be acting on huge things like big projects or careers. Everyday things, all you have to do is simply pick the one that has a little bit more attractiveness, curiosity, excitement, or passion connected to it. It can be as simple as taking a walk or reading a book. Just decide what seems more attractive at that moment and keep choosing things that have more attraction than any other ordinary daily thing. And it will build and it will grow. But it also sounds like you're confusing the idea that there is red light and green light synchronicity, because sometimes even things that do represent your excitement, synchronicity is telling you this isn't the time to act on it, and so it will present an inability to do so. But the other obstacles that may come up may simply be the idea of how it is you're willing to face challenges, because remember, the reflective mirror in the formula is one of the things that brings to your attention any belief systems you may be holding on to that are out of alignment with your excitement, but you have to face them. You can't just assume that following your passion means you will never have to look at the ideas that are out of alignment with your passion in your belief system. That's the exact thing you're supposed to be doing, is revealing all the beliefs within you that are negative, fear-based, or out of alignment, and dealing with them and finding out why you're holding on to them. So part of your excitement is to discover the things within you that are not your excitement, that seem like challenges. They don't have to be experienced as obstacles, but they will come as challenges, but you have to stay in a positive state, which is also part of the formula, in order to get a benefit of how you approach them to get and extract an advantage out of that experience. So even if something manifests that you objectively don't prefer, by staying in the positive state, you will still be able to get a beneficial effect out of the way that you look at it and the way you examine why it's there and why you may be holding on to a belief system that doesn't serve you. So you have to let go of all of these definitions of what you expect to happen, what you think is supposed to happen, and just deal with what's happening in the moment from a positive vibrational position in life, so you can get a benefit out of all of it, and keep it simple when we think of the idea of acting on your passion, instead of assuming it has to be some grand adventure. It can be everyday things. For example, the fact that you asked this question obviously was one of the more exciting choices that you decided was, at that time, the most exciting choice for you to do. So when this conversation is over, all you have to do is look around for whatever obvious things exist for you to act on. Take a walk, read a book, talk to a friend, eat a meal, and just keep picking the ones that are a little bit more exciting than anything else, that you have more ability to act on than anything else, and just keep doing that. It will lead to other things. We understand this is a very condensed, very rapid, very simplistic answer, but without actually engaging with you much more deeply in a private or personal conversation, this is what we can give you at this time to help you understand the whole process of how synchronicity works. When it's green light synchronicity, it allows you the ability to act on things. When it's red light synchronicity, it says this may be representative of your passion, but this is not the step to take right now. So look around for something else that you need to do, rather than feeling like you're banging your head against an obstacle. Don't just stay there and try to force your way through it. Red light synchronicity may be saying this is not the step to take right now. Look for something you are able to act on.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm seeing your messages and videos for some time now. I'm so excited to have this meeting with you.
We have deep appreciation for the co-creation of this interaction with you as well.
I would hope if you could please help me understand a little more about the idea of physical experience related to the concept of being a projection of this consciousness.
Yes, well, we sort of just described all of that in the monologue.
Yes.
So the idea, again, is that there are vibrations, frequencies of energy within the soul, frequencies of light, that cause patterns within the soul. Those patterns are focused by the soul in a way that projects those patterns into a kind of condensed focus point within the center of the soul, so to speak. And that projection of those patterns, that condensation of those energy patterns, creates a focal point in the soul that you call your physical personality. So it's projected that way. And because it is projected by those vibrations, those frequencies, then the physical personality perceives the idea of a reality around itself, which is made up of those frequencies. In a sense, it's almost like the physical personality seed or crystal at the center of the soul is seeing its reality projected on the inside surface of the sphere of the soul, as if that is the theater, that is the screen, 360 degrees in all direction, upon which the crystalline seed projects the idea of its consciousness, of its reality outside of itself, because what it's actually seeing is the, so to speak, inside of the sphere of the soul that it is. And that's where its holographic projection plays out, seemingly around itself, because the physical personality is concentrated at the center of the sphere that is the soul. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
It makes sense, yes. But the question is about, I am perceiving this reality in, are you perceiving my reality? You are perceiving your reality?
Yes. But we are agreeing to some degree to create something similar enough that we can talk about things as if we are sharing the same reality, even though we are creating our own reality. We're creating our own version of reality based on our connection and communications with each other, with everyone, to create a reality that is similar enough to the reality you're creating so that we can create what appears to be a shared reality, even though it is actually different realities.
The experience is everything in the same moment.
Yes. But you only experience what you're focused on.
Yes.
So there are many aspects of what we are creating that are not visible yet, or may never be visible, because you may not need to create your version of that in order to experience it, because it may not be relevant to do so. But what you call the idea of the future are simply elements of the realities that we are creating with each other that are not visible yet, but they are there. So they become visible when it is relevant for them to become visible, because that's what you're now focused on. And from your linear space-time perspective, you call that becoming visible part the future.
Yes.
And the part that now goes invisible but is still there, you call the past. But all of it's there. It's just that it's different about what part of it becomes visible to you at any given moment in the present.
So what I experience now with you,
yes,
from my point of view, my perspective, it's a projection
yes,
of my consciousness. You are perceiving the same, but in your point of view?
I am perceiving something similar enough that we think it's the same. Yes.
Okay. That's one of my questions.
Yes, it's very similar to what you're experiencing electronically now in this particular exchange. In other words, you know that you're not actually seeing the physical body of the channel. You're seeing an image that has been electronically converted into images and sound that then open up on your computer so that you can see a representation of the channel. You're not actually seeing the channel's body directly, but you're interacting with it in a way that lets you know that there is such a being as the channel who is channeling a being like us, but you're not actually seeing the channel's body directly. You're seeing a projection. So it's similar to that idea.
That's actually the same feeling, and like information, it's flowing through me. The same thing that I was feeling is what you just said. So
yes,
it makes perfect sense. So thank you so much.
Yes, you are so welcome.
Is there a difference between an angelic or spirit guide or an extraterrestrial
Well, yes.
being?
Yes. Although many of us have similar qualities, and so sometimes it can be challenging to tell us apart. Because, as I said, we have many of the qualities of spirit, and so vibrationally you may still think you're speaking to a spirit, even if you're speaking to an extraterrestrial, or vice versa. You may be speaking to an extraterrestrial that you think is a spirit. You may be talking to a spirit that you think is an extraterrestrial, because sometimes it's challenging to tell us apart. Nevertheless, yes, there is a difference between the idea of an angelic being that has never been physical, a spirit guide which may have been physical in its experience, or members of your soul family that may choose to have been physical and taking turns playing different parts for you in different lives, so to speak. So spirit guides can also be someone who has been part of your soul family, or doesn't have to be. It can be someone who, in a sense, is being trained as a spirit guide, and based on their level of skill and their particular choices of what they would like to do, they may be, so to speak, assigned to different people to help them grow as a spirit guide, to learn how to communicate and help people who have chosen to have physical experiences. So yes, there are differences in the way that the beings may experience themselves in different dimensions and different realms, but ultimately they can sort of function in a similar way.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I don't know if now I'm allowed to ask a last question.
Well, you just asked the question, so I suppose you can ask another one.
It's difficult to me to imagine extraterrestrials since I was a child, specifically the what we call here the Greys.
Yes, well, they're not truly extraterrestrials in the classic sense. They are mutated humans from a parallel version of Earth.
Yes. This idea or concept, although I found it fascinating, and it really starts piquing the curiosity of my experience, but it's also terrifying to me. I
Why?
can understand why.
Well, probably because you've had those experiences, you've had those encounters, and as we have explained, the idea of beings that are operating on a different frequency, whether it's higher or simply representative of a different reality, can feel to your physical mind something similar to the idea of the spirit realm vibration, and to the physical mind, when it's exposed to a vibration of another dimension, another reality, or a spirit realm, may react to that frequency as if it is dying, because that's what that frequency represents to the physical mind. And so the limbic brain will react as a fight or flight survival mode suddenly, because being exposed to that energy may make it feel like it's about to die, even though it may not actually be about to die. It may feel like it's about to die by being exposed to that energy. And that's where the fear reaction comes up. It's a survival mode reaction of the limbic system in the physical mind.
Thank you so much.
Yes, there is nothing to be afraid of, but we understand that your body may react that way.
Yes, that concept also makes very, very perfect sense to me.
Yes.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Well, thank you very much. Aveo.
And can soul fragments from the same higher self or oversoul be family members? For example, can cousins be soul fragments from the same higher self?
There's no such thing as soul fragments. There are souls. If you're calling a fragment one of the souls that is connected to an oversoul, well, all right, then we understand your terminology. But there are no soul fragments. Souls are whole beings.
Okay, and is it true that twins have the same oversoul?
They can. They don't have to, but they can. It may be very likely, but it doesn't have to be absolute.
In the case of identical versus fraternal, is there any difference regarding oversoul
It is
connection?
more likely that identical might be extensions of the same oversoul. Again, it's not an absolute. And it might be more likely that twins that are only fraternal and not identical might still be extensions of the same oversoul, or more likely extensions of different oversouls for different reasons. But again, you have to take it on a case-by-case basis. Both are possible, but it's not an absolute. It depends on the purpose for the creation of the reflection of the twin or the triplet or what have you.
So I'm coming back to the idea of soul fragments. So there is no such thing as a soul fragment?
No. If you're referring to a soul fragment as simply one of the souls that make up an oversoul, then again, we understand the way you're using that terminology. But there is no such thing, aside from that expression, as a soul fragment. Souls are whole beings. There is no fragment of a soul.
Okay. And if this person's saying they know they're a soul with a body, but is it possible for an oversoul to have many different bodies?
Well, yes, that's exactly what an oversoul does. An oversoul has many different souls, and each soul can have an incarnational physical experience or a body. That's exactly the description of the idea of how the oversoul experiences itself, because many of the souls that make it up may choose to have incarnations in different places and different times, and all of that experience as physical beings feeds back through the soul to the oversoul that is having all those experiences at the same time.
And this person would love to know what determines the oversoul group that we end up being in. Also, once an oversoul group, is manifest, do we remain in that group permanently?
Yes. You don't end up being in an oversoul. You start out that way. That's who you are. You're part of that vibration. You're part of that larger aspect of all that is. And then as an individual soul, you are an extension of that oversoul. That's who you are. You don't end up being there.
And how common is it for people with the same oversoul to meet in the same lifetime?
It's quite common. There can be many counterparts that will cross paths with each other, maybe interact with each other in a variety of different ways. Again, it depends upon the purpose for such an interaction. So I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it's quite common.
And how do you explain the concept of souls parallel life experiences impacting our current life journey? And what implications does this have on the infinite potential of our souls?
Well, again, this is what we've talked about many times when you talk about the idea of incarnations, past, present, future, where you're making cross connections energetically, informationally, sharing that information between different experiences that all coexist simultaneously, whether they seem to be in your historical timeline or in a parallel reality, doesn't matter. You connect to what you need to connect to draw information and experience from what serves your particular life path. So you're always plugging into and unplugging from different experiences in parallel realities to inform your life path, as other beings are doing for you. Plugging into you to draw down your experience and information into them to help them with their life path, because it's just like one giant dynamic interactive internet. You're constantly sending and receiving information to different versions of extensions of different souls and parallel realities and what have you, in order to inform your path while you help others inform their path.
And does the higher mind or soul take feedback from the physical mind or the personality? For example, if someone is done and they've changed their mind about exploring something because it's actually more painful than they anticipated, can they terminate the agreement? And how can they do that?
No, you cannot terminate an agreement. You can postpone it, you can delay it, you cannot terminate it. An agreement is something that, in a sense, is part of your experience as a soul, that makes you unique, that makes you what you are. So when you have set up within yourself the parameters that allow you to experience parts of who you are, you cannot terminate that, because it would be like terminating a part of yourself, and you can't do that ultimately. You can postpone it. You can decide to leave physical reality before your prescribed time, the time that you originally set up, your end point, your exit point, because that's what you call suicide, when you leave early. But then you realize, when you go back into the soul form, that you were not finished with the agreement you made to be you in that way, to learn that thing that actually allows you to grow as a soul, as the soul you are, the unique soul you are. So you cannot change that. So you will perhaps postpone it. You may linger for a while and experience different things as a soul, non-physically, but then you will realize that in order to progress, in order to move forward, in order to grow, in order to change, you will, in some way, shape, or form, need to fulfill the parameters of that agreement, or you will not move forward. And not moving forward and not growing will at some point be such a strong and powerful urge within you because of the nature of existence to expand that you will finally decide in some way, shape, or form to continue to fulfill that agreement until you fulfill it. So you cannot erase it, but you can postpone it.
And since we have a body within our consciousness, is everything around you or me my consciousness? Is this an independent experience with the other being me too? Or my version of them?
Well, yes,
How
your
far
version
around
of them.
me?
Your version of them.
It says, how far around me does my consciousness expand?
All your consciousness around you. That's what you experience. We use the analogy of the idea of projecting onto the inner surface of the soul that you're within, because your physical mind is within the soul. So if you imagine the soul as a sphere of energy that has an inner surface and you're at the center of it, then you project like a screen. This is just a euphemism. It's just a metaphor. You project the idea on the inner surface of the sphere that you are at the center of. So your consciousness, your reflection of physical reality is all around you. That's all you experience. But that means you're experiencing your version of other beings, other souls, who are experiencing you as their version of you projected on the inner surface of their soul sphere, so to speak. This is just a crude, simplistic analogy. But again, it doesn't mean you're not interacting with other beings. That takes place on a different level. But you're creating, as a physical mind, all of those interactions out of your own energy, because you are at the center of your soul sphere, projecting it on the inner surface of that sphere, euphemistically speaking.
It's interesting because what you've described is very similar to what a person experiences inside of the sphere in Las Vegas.
Yes. That's why, again, you create these things to represent what's actually going on in reality, and your culture chooses to create representations of that idea. As you open your consciousness up, it's reflected in your technology all the time, in your culture, in your stories, so on and so forth.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Is it correct that some souls incarnate on Earth compulsorily? And how does this come to be specifically? How does free will relate to this?
You always have free will as a soul. It's not compulsive. You choose to incarnate. Now, you may feel as a soul, so to speak, that it's important for you to do so. And if you want to call that a compulsion because you know that that's going to really help your soul grow and you are really driven to do that, well, fine. Then that can be, in a sense, a compulsion. But it's not something that is compulsive. You have a choice.
Can entities interfere with the communication between the triad mind? And if so, what are some of the common reasons why this interference takes place?
No, there's no such thing as that kind of interference in the way that you mean it. Again, you can choose to change your vibrational frequency to match frequencies of other beings, and in that way you're influencing yourself in a way that makes it appear as if it might be coming from another being, but it's your own energy at a certain frequency that is experienced as interference, but it's not actually possible for another entity to interfere.
Okay, and this person is asking, how can I become an oversoul if I'm an individual soul now?
You can't. You are an individual soul. You are part of an oversoul. Again, in spirit, you can have the experience of perceiving yourself as an oversoul, but the oversoul exists at the same time that your soul does. So you don't become an oversoul. You simply have the ability to experience yourself from the oversoul perspective as a soul.
Okay. And this person is saying that they believe that nothing can affect them in a negative way unless they are a match to that energy. Is that a true belief?
Yes. If you actually believe it, you know it, you understand it. That's the way things work. Nothing can affect you that you don't choose to be affected by. And that's why it's so important to get into touch with the beliefs about why you believe it might be necessary to change your frequency to make it appear as if you're being affected negatively by something else.
And does that sort of relate to the question the individual had about changing their life theme that they were experiencing in a painful way because they decided that the path they had chosen for this life was too painful? Is that also an answer to that issue of
Yes.
experiencing life in a painful way, wanting to
Yes.
escape it?
Yes. Now
And
remember, the only reason life appears too painful is because of the belief systems you're holding on to that make it so. The journey, the path that every soul chooses is never actually too much to bear. It is something you have chosen for your soul's growth, to transform, to experience, to challenge yourself with. The only way it starts to appear to be too much to bear is because you're not allowing your belief system to align with your core frequency in a way that lets you know that you can handle the challenges you chose to face from the soul's perspective. So it is up to the physical mind and the belief system that makes up the physical mind to alter its beliefs in such a way as to experience that the challenges the soul chose are not something that is too much to bear. You can handle it if you align your beliefs to your core frequency. If you let go of those beliefs that are negative and fear-based, you will be a match for the soul's path that the soul chose. It only becomes overwhelming when you have beliefs that are contrary to your core frequency as a being, as a soul.
this person wants to know if you think that any of us, or even just some of us, can accomplish the elevating or raising of our vibration that you so strongly advocate and suggest. What are your thoughts on our current procedure?
Yes, of course you can. Otherwise, it would be pointless for us to share this information with you. Therefore, we wouldn't do it. So the fact that we are sharing this information is a representation of the principle of the one-sided coin that we've talked about many times. It is our passion and our pleasure to share this information with you, which tells us that there are some individuals who are more than capable of receiving and absorbing and applying this information in a way that they can raise their vibration and have the experiences that we are talking about. Otherwise, it would be pointless for us to share this information. And we would then feel that it was pointless, know that it was pointless, and wouldn't share it. So the fact that we're sharing it should be your first clue that it is attainable. But it's up to you to attain it. You don't have to, but it is attainable. Otherwise, it wouldn't be given. So where are you at? Where you are at individually is up to you. Are you following the formula? Are you letting go of fear-based and negative beliefs, thus raising your vibration? You're the determiner of that. You're the determiner of where you're at. Obviously, enough of you are moving up, are raising your frequency in a way that allows us to see that we can continue to deliver new information, new perspectives, new insights, that we can continue to talk about the idea of the highest probability of open contact occurring in your lifetime very quickly. Otherwise, again, we would be talking about different things if we were talking to you at all. So you can use what we're sharing with you, The idea of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment, one example of that, showing you that you are progressing, or at least some of you are. So use what we're sharing with you as an indicator that you're progressing, if you are even aware of what we're sharing with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be aware of it.
And since we cannot perceive what we are not the vibration of, how can we reach a person or entity with higher truths for help when we are in a very low state?
If you do reach the person, if you do reach the help, if you do match it, if you do have the ability to encounter it, then it means a part of the mix of your frequency contains the ability to do that, even though overall you might be functioning at a lower frequency. So you always contain the potential for that frequency to show itself and to access the information that you need. Remember that as physical beings, you are compartmentalized in many ways in your consciousness. Therefore, that may mean that there are still parts of your consciousness that are capable of operating on a higher frequency, even though it may not be the majority of those parts of your consciousness, but sufficient enough to reach out for and receive the assistance that other beings of higher frequency are sending to you.
And looks like we can start. So, well, I did want to give you a little bit of an introduction.
Like you last time?
This is Darryl Anka.
Hi.
The magical channel for Bashar. So anyway, I just want to thank you for being magical, because there's just... It is amazing. And we really appreciate the gift of the information that you share with us. And we are really excited to hear more.
Thank you.
So thank you for bringing through Bashar and being fabulous yourself.
Oh, thanks. Are you having a good time? Yeah. Good. Let's have some more. I'm going to sleep now. I'm just curious, before we start, how many people have never heard Bashar live before? Wow. I guess I'd have to include myself in that, wouldn't I? How many people are hearing Bashar for the first time in any form? Okay, still quite a few. Thank you for coming. All right, I'm going to go to sleep and let you have some more fun. So this will probably be the questioner thing, so people that got their names drawn, get ready to come up to the mic when he starts asking for questions.
I'm going to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? So, an earthquake and a hurricane. You really know how to tell a story. Very exciting. Very good. We want to hang with you. So then, in what you have absorbed in our initial transmission, we would now like to ask you a question. Anyone may choose to answer. 'Tis up to you. What is the single most important archetypal element that makes the hero interesting? The villain. The antagonist is responsible for the level of interest you have in the protagonist. Think about that. Think about some of your favorite books and films. Many times you'll actually be surprised when you think back and remember to realize that one of the more interesting characters was actually the villain. Many times you actually can't even really remember the hero as strongly as you remember the villain. The villain defines the hero. Without the idea of the negative side, the hero has nothing to be heroic about. Thus then, in many ways, you can say it is the negative side that allows the positive side to be so memorable. Because it is only in the overcoming and the transformation of the challenges posed to the hero that allow you to truly go on the hero's journey with him or her. And for that, you have the villain to thank. So this is why it is so important to not so much push the negative ideas away, but incorporate them in a manner that allows you, as the hero of your own story, to become that much more interesting, that much more well-defined. As we have said many times in these transmissions to many of you will find that the easiest way to find out what you are is to experience more clearly what you are not. Thus then, by giving yourself the opportunity to interact with those challenging negative scenarios, by giving yourself the opportunity to let rise to the surface of your consciousness those negative beliefs and to become aware of them, you give yourself the opportunity to have something to transform. You give yourself the opportunity to become an active, heroic individual in your own story. This doesn't mean you have to get a big ego. That might be another antagonist that you can write a story around. But the idea is that as you become more heroic, you become truly more of yourself. But the way you get there, the path to being that legendary hero, is the true understanding and the true relationship that you form between the hero and the villain. And allowing that to be in perfect harmony and perfect balance, and knowing that the choice is always there to succumb to the negative side. But once you validate that the negative side has a reason for being, that it is an equal choice and a valid choice to any other choice you could make, then you go from being the villain in your own story to being the hero, because you incorporate both in a balanced way and thus are capable of simply choosing what you prefer without invalidating the negative side that brought you to that realization, that brought you to that understanding, that allowed you to become the hero you prefer to be. Do you understand? Not all of you? Do you understand? Thank you. In return for the gift that you are allowing us in this communication now, we ask, in what way may we be of further service through dialogue, question, and answer?
Get this just right for you, okay?
Just right. Sounds like something in a story. Not too hot, not too cold. Just right. Not too high, not too low, not too quiet, not too loud. Just right.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day to you. And so, what's your story?
My story is I am not going to hold back.
Oh, all right.
I am not going to hold back.
When you are making on your planet a movie, what starts the story rolling? The word action. So important in living your story is to incorporate all the ideas, all the energy, all the beliefs into actual physical action, as you say, not holding back. Because you have chosen to be physically experiential beings, it is very important for you to ground your energy, ground what you prefer, ground your excitement into physical reality to attract physical manifestation and shifting to the reality you prefer through the completion of the circuit called physical action. So, you have decided to act who you are. Do not hold back. Very good. What else?
Okay, the dichotomy of that is I came up here to New Jersey this weekend to also surrender.
Yes.
I came here I have used my mind for 55 years to try and understand life and existence and reality. And
must be tired.
Yeah. It's
poor little mind.
It's been 55 years of intense aerobic exercise, and
yes.
I'm tired of doing that. I want to surrender to my heart, but yet, but,
all right.
I would like to be who I know myself to be,
yes.
which is bold.
Yes.
And
so you are willing to act on your excitement, which if you do in the purest form, will actually be experienced as surrendering to your total self, and thus will be experienced in a joyful and effortless way even as you act? Is that what you mean?
I would like to integrate the two so that they're...
Yes, that's what we just said.
Yeah.
The idea of surrender doesn't mean you take no action. The idea of surrender is to start to go with the flow of your true self so that all the action you take will not be struggle, but will be joy, will be play, will be effortless. You will still take action, but by surrendering to yourself, all the action will be exciting, will be joyful, will be pleasurable. That doesn't mean to surrender that you take no action.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
Is that what you meant?
It is what I meant.
All right. And so you will start doing this now? I sense hesitation.
I am right now in my life, I am performing something that I have had the most fun with of anything I've ever done.
Oh, thank you.
In my life. Now,
yes.
That whole idea of excitement leading to excitement.
Yes.
I don't have the next chapter planned.
You're not necessarily supposed to completely plan it out, you know. Remember that your physical mind has no capacity to know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. Only your higher mind does. So the idea is that while the physical mind can form just a sufficient enough framework to know exactly where the hallway is you need to walk down, you can let your higher mind surprise you with exactly how you will be walking down that hallway. So you don't need to plan the whole thing out physically. Make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
So the idea of excitement leading to excitement will simply be that once you have some degree of understanding of the framework or the structure, then you can simply get on about the business of acting to the best of your ability at every given moment on whatever opportunity has presented itself to you at that moment that contains the highest amount of excitement. And if you act on it without any expectation of what kind of manifestation or fruition it needs to come to, and you simply go forward to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you possibly can, as far as you are able to, without that expectation, then that will always put you in the proper place, at the proper time, with the proper people, to know exactly, synchronistically, what the next thing is that you need to take action on. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
This is just physics, you know.
Sure, that makes sense.
All right. Is this something that you believe you can incorporate into your story?
I'm okay with spontaneity. I'm okay with just...
It's not just about what you call spontaneity, although that's a large factor. It doesn't mean that you give up thinking. It doesn't mean that you cannot see to some degree what the structure is, and it does not mean you cannot choose to gravitate in a particular direction according to your choices. Nevertheless, the idea is that you can allow much more synchronicity to reveal itself to you so that you don't have to overthink it. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Does that feel lighter?
Yes, it feels lighter.
But there is still some hesitation.
Well, yeah, here's the deal.
All right.
Here's
the deal. All right. What's the deal?
Here's the deal. I understand following the path of excitement and
One moment. We would like to offer you an opportunity to be a little bit more precise in your definitions here, because we often hear people on your planet say this to us. Well, I understand it intellectually, but I don't quite grasp it on this level or that level. Let's just be clear about this. If you're not actually doing it, you don't understand it. Because to understand is to do, is to know, is to be. That's what true understanding is. That's why understanding comes with experience. Because the idea is that when you understand something, you don't think about it, you just do it. That's understanding. There is no disconnection between understanding and action. So we know what you mean when you say that, but the truth is, if you're not actually acting in that way, you actually have not yet arrived at understanding, because I guarantee you, the moment you actually understand it, nothing will stop you from acting that way. So as long as there is any hesitation in your action, you actually don't yet have a complete understanding of it.
And again, that's only because I guess what my fear is,
yes,
when this little episode of what I'm doing right now,
yes,
comes to an end, which is a volunteer project for my church, which I'm totally engaged in.
What is your fear?
My fear is,
here comes that part of the story.
Well, it's a lapse of, okay,
lapse.
What is this going to move on to next?
Who cares?
Well,
let me ask you a question. What you're actually saying is, and in conjunction with the idea that you say you are volunteering for your church, you are lacking faith. So the idea really is to go beyond faith into knowingness. If you really understand the principles and the concepts of what we're talking about, if you really understand the structure of existence and how reality works, you won't have to actually have faith. You can know that whatever it is that is the next thing that happens will be exactly what needs to happen. And when you respond to whatever happens with that knowledge, with that certainty, with that attitude, and in that energy, then you will see how whatever it is that has happened next will serve you as the stepping stone you actually needed at that moment. You don't need to know what it is before you take the step. In fact, you can't know what it is until you take the step. So the idea is actually, even though I know that many of you use the word faith, it's actually going beyond faith into knowingness. You actually don't need faith. You need to know. You need to understand how reality works. So let me put it to you in a very simple fashion. Whatever it is that happens next, you know that something will happen, yes? How likely is it that nothing will happen? Or as one writer once said, suddenly nothing happened. How likely is it that nothing at all will happen? Wouldn't you say that that likelihood is most probably, let's say 0? Something's going to happen next, right?
Well, Bashar, I'll be honest with you. That thought of nothing happening, nothing is a relative term to me. Okay?
Let's put it this way. You see, this comes from a lack of understanding of the nature of existence itself.
Thank you.
It is not possible for you to experience non-existence. by definition. Non-existence means there is no experience. You cannot experience non-existence because you already exist. Existence only has one quality: to exist. That which exists doesn't become that which doesn't exist. That which doesn't exist already doesn't exist. And non-existence is already full of all the things that will never exist. There's no room in non-existence for that which does exist. Do you understand these concepts as they translate into your language?
Yes.
So it's not actually possible. This is one of the few things that is actually truly impossible. It is not possible for that which is to no longer be that which is. That's its only quality. It's the first law of creation. You exist. That's it. You can't do anything about that. You'll change. That's another law. You'll transform how you exist, but the fact of your existence is woven into the very fabric of existence itself, and that can't change. And let me put it this way, it's not something to worry about, because if it actually were possible for that to change, you wouldn't know that it had changed anyway, because there is no experience in non-existence. So if you were to become non-existent, you wouldn't know it. So what's to be afraid of? So the point is that whatever it is that happens next, there has to be something that happens next, because that's the only thing that can happen in existence, and you can't become non-existent. Are you following that so far?
I do follow that. Can I introduce a subplot to the story?
Oh, a subplot. All right.
And it really becomes a matter of focus. Okay, there's as I see it, there's two ways you can go in life.
Oh, all right.
You can accentuate the positive and look forward to the next experience.
Yes.
And do that.
Yes.
And let that lead into something else.
Yes.
And ever and ever and ever.
Yes.
Or you can go, let's talk about the negative side.
All right.
Of who I am and what I'm trying to resolve.
You can accentuate the negative and let that lead to the next thing and the next thing. But you see, the point still is there will still be a next thing.
Or try and understand.
No, understand. There is no trying to understand. You either understand or you don't.
Okay. All right.
Now, let me put it to you this way. One moment. A further subtle explanation. We understand what you mean by trying to understand. We understand what you mean by process. Nevertheless, here's the actual truth about what a process is. A process is not actually in any way, shape, or form trying to understand. A process is simply getting to the point where you finally give yourself permission to understand. So the idea is that you may simply go through an experience and still not give yourself permission to understand. And you may do that again and not give yourself permission to understand. And in all of those experiences, you are actually not trying to understand. You're actually choosing to not understand.
Okay.
And eventually you get to the point where you are finally don't need to choose that, and you suddenly choose to simply understand. All of the times you chose to not understand do not actually, literally, physically, mechanically have anything at all to do with your ability in the next moment to choose to understand. Any process you went through that made it seem as if that gave you more ability to understand actually didn't give you more ability. It just gave you more time for you to let it be all right to finally choose to understand.
Okay, well, let's talk about a way I can understand something that I've been trying to understand for a long time.
All right, and that would be what?
Something that...
Be specific.
Okay, this does not... The irony of it is, this does not seem native to me.
We love irony.
It does not seem...
Native to you.
Native. It does not seem natural. I do not know.
Yes.
I do not know why I hang on to a certain fear.
Of what?
Of I don't know. It's a.
Yes. Of what?
Of.
Understand right now. You're sitting in your movie theater watching your movie, and you're allowing the film to break. Get to the point where the fear presents itself, invite it in so you can get on with the movie.
Of not willing to be who I know myself to be?
Because you fear that if you do, what will happen? You see, this is one of the strongest ways to find out what your fears actually are, is to actually amplify and magnify them by allowing yourself to imagine what the worst possible thing you fear might happen is, should you allow yourself to actually be who you say you prefer to be. So what's the worst possible thing you imagine might happen if you did be who you prefer to be? Give it voice. Get it out there. Because once you get it out there, once you actually say what you fear the worst thing is, then you have something to work with. Then you have a really good villain. Then you can become a really strong hero. So, invent a really good villain. What's the worst thing you fear will happen if you actually allow yourself to become who you prefer to be? Spit it out.
Too much exposure is the only thing I can think of.
Exposure to what? Exposure to what? In what way? Seems like you're getting some help from the peanut gallery. Shh, no talking during the movie. Exposure. What does exposure mean? That somehow someone is going to come up and say something that you believe would devalue you? Is that what you fear? What do you really fear? Speak, speak, speak.
It's there on the tip of my tongue.
Give me the scenario. You have the picture in your head. Paint the picture. What do you fear might happen?
I understand why I separated myself from myself to the degree that I did, because I went deep. I went real deep.
That's all right. If you understand that, then if you understand that and you understand that now you are basically choosing to be done with that, then why aren't you done with it?
Well, that's the edge or the
$64,000 question.
Well, I'm standing on that edge right now.
Well, listen to this. Listen to this. The only reason, all of you, listen to this, the only reason you hold on to something you say you don't is because you still believe that it somehow serves you in a positive way to do so. So what's your belief about that? Do you believe that holding on to this, the thing that prevents you from being yourself, somehow keeps you safer than you might be by being yourself? Is that what you're getting out of holding on to something you say you don't want? Because the only reason you hold on to something you say you don't want is because you perceive or have defined that there's a benefit to do so. Because as soon as you define there is no benefit to do so, you'll let it go instantaneously, believe me. So the only reason you hold on to something that you say you don't prefer is because you must have an unconscious belief that there is some benefit to doing so. If you find out what that belief is and identify it, then it gives you more ability to let that go. So what benefit do you believe you're getting out of holding on to a state of being you say you don't prefer?
Because the next step is, losing this or surrendering to this. I'm out.
Are you equating surrendering with losing something? Is that your definition?
I'm equating surrendering with just letting go.
But why are you defining that as a negative?
I'm not defining it as a negative.
Then why aren't you letting go?
I guess I'm not at that point right now.
No. Listen again. There is no such thing as not being at that point. That really doesn't have any meaning at all. If you are not letting go of something that you say you wish to let go of, it's because you are choosing to not let go because you believe it serves you. It's not about I'm not at that point yet. It's about the fact that you are deliberately choosing to hold on to it. You have to find out why. And the reason why will always be, yes, always be, you have defined that holding on to it is beneficial. How does it benefit you to hold on to this thing you say you don't prefer?
The safety net, that might be part of it. But
so you feel you need one because you fear that what will happen? What? What will happen if you just let go? What will happen? What's the worst that could happen? Come on, give it voice. Be bold.
You know, maybe there's an element of maybe of non-acceptance of.
Who cares?
Well, I don't give a shit about that.
Obviously you do.
But I don't.
But you obviously
that's the whole point.
do.
I'm at the point where I just don't give a shit anymore.
Then why not let go?
That's...
Obviously you do. You see, this is what you're not allowing to be obvious. The belief may be unconscious. You may think, consciously, you may think you don't care anymore, but your actions show you do.
That is
your
absolutely
fear
true.
Tells you do. So without the action, with the idea of still feeling fear, those are the barometers to pay attention to. The fear and the non-action in the direction you prefer tells you there's a belief you're unaware of. So it doesn't matter if you sit there and insist, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. All you're saying is, consciously, you can't figure out what the belief is.
That's right, because I understand everything that you're talking about.
But you know the belief must be there.
Yes, I do. I'm not.
Then find out what it is by asking the question, what would I have to believe is true of my relationship to this situation in order to hold on to something I say I don't prefer? There is an answer. There is a definition you have to be holding on to. Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking this question of us. You're holding on to something you don't prefer.
I agree. From your perspective, just so others can ask questions, can you give me, besides asking the question, which I've done for a long time, can you give me a little...
Yes.
Little...
Push?
Or, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
All right. Have you heard us talk about the idea of the 2-word sacred mantra?
No, I haven't.
Repeat after me. So what? Very powerful. 2-word sacred mantra. So in other words, should you decide to move forward and should what you fear will happen, so what? Pick yourself up, keep moving. It cannot actually ultimately destroy you. It will only make you stronger. Because you will have discovered more of yourself. Even if the modality, remember what we said? Even if the modality is extremely scary, even if the scenario is extremely frightening, invite yourself to go through it because you will go through it.
My fear is it's too big. That's
nonsense.
That's the fear. That's what I'm holding on to. You asked what my fear was?
Yes, but it's nonsense because it cannot, by definition, be bigger than you are.
I totally agree.
Well, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you.